Check 1, 2.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I wish I could be with you all again, but I am on a field trip. I'm sorry they seem to always fall on B days. It's just the way it is, I guess. But we're going to push on and begin our day with Louis Zamperini. So please put your stuff away, sit back, and enjoy our story today. Our story is called Preparation Determines Your Survival. Life on Earth is dangerous. You should be prepared for anything. As adults, we sometimes encounter circumstances with potentially grave consequences that we can't anticipate. It can seem overwhelming, but each circumstance can usually be broken into smaller, more manageable challenges that we might already be prepared to deal with. For example, I was in a plane crash. Here's Louis' plane, the Green Hornet. You can see why it might have gone down. It wasn't in very good shape. And it's true. In his book, he talks about how they should have updated the planes, but in World War II, there was just a shortage of everything. So they continued to basically fly this old plane over the Pacific on all their missions. So he was in a plane crash during the war. I couldn't do anything about that. I could have died. Instead, I lived. Now what? Rather than try to take on the whole predicament at once, I broke it down into smaller tasks that used the survival skills I'd already learned. First aid, obtaining food, knowing not to drink salt water, maintaining a positive attitude, and keeping my mind active. I followed my training a step at a time. I didn't freak out. You may feel in your busy life that learning survival skills will require too much time that you don't have. Maybe you'll never need them, but you only have one life. You should never be too busy to save it. Education is the mainstay of being prepared. Every high school should have a survival course. Just one class is all you need, a good hour. You won't learn everything, but you'll know more than when you began, and perhaps create a thirst for more knowledge. A semester course is better, and you could take optional courses to broaden or specialize your knowledge. I love the outdoors. I've spent lots of time sleeping under the stars or in a tent, whether in my parents' backyard in Torrance, or camping on the beach or in the mountains. Growing up, my favorite stories were about Robinson Crusoe and the Swiss Family Robinson. Me too, Louis. That was my favorite movie. I watched it probably 200 times as a kid. I became an Eagle Scout, and of course the Scout motto is, be prepared. I learned how to build game traps and catch food. I took classes when possible and tried to learn as much as I could about being prepared for all circumstances. That came in handy when my plane crashed over the Pacific and I was stuck on the life raft. I also love rock climbing. I took courses and practice when I could, but I've met so-called trained climbers who almost kill themselves through lack of basic knowledge. I was teaching some kids how to use rock climbing equipment when we heard a guy screaming bloody murder. "What's wrong?" I yelled. "My girlfriend fell over a cliff," he said, running over. I followed him to the accident site. She was okay. She'd only slid down the hill to a ledge, but had no way to get back up. I secured my rope around a tree and rappelled down and rescued her. After they got through thanking me, I said, "You're welcome, but what in the world are you doing on this rock? It's shale." "Oh, we're members of the mountaineering club at Fresno State." I was annoyed. They put me in danger as well as themselves. I suggested that they either give up climbing completely or take some more courses. The first thing they should teach is what kind of rocks to climb on, because this is shale, the most dangerous rock in the world. It separates and slides. I told them they should climb where the rock is hard and you can get hold of it, not here. At least they hadn't killed themselves. I remember reading about a woman who got into trouble during a day hike on Mount Baldy in Southern California. She had described herself as an experienced climber. She disappeared, and they found her dead 3 days later. She'd gotten lost, and it got worse from there. Anything can happen to anyone, but there are simple rules designed to keep you out of trouble. When you're hiking off trail through the wilderness, and you make a turn, break a tree branch so you know that's where you were. Or you can create a pattern of rocks on the ground. When I took groups of camp kids out, I always had a pocket full of ribbons about 10 inches long. When we turned, I'd tie one to a tree. Then to teach them how not to lose their way, I'd take them up a hill, around it, down, and around again, just to confuse them. Then I'd say, "I think we're lost." The response was usually, "Well, we're still following you." "Yeah, but I'm not sure," I'd say. Of course, I knew exactly where we were. "What are we going to do?" "What did I teach you?" They'd been trained, and now they had to use their knowledge. "Look at the position of the sun," one boy said. "See which way the stream runs." "Look for the ribbons," said another. We set off, and each time they found a ribbon, I could see their faces shine with the joy of accomplishment. Soon we were back to where we'd started, safe and sound, with the personal reward of having learned a lesson and used it successfully in the real world. It's a great feeling. Survival in any situation, from the outdoors to the office, depends on three things: education, preparation, and anticipation. You've got to think ahead. End of chapter 5. Alright, we got bonus material today. I wanted to show you a short interview of Louis Zamperini and his dear friend Angelina Jolie. Enjoy.
It's the real deal when it comes to international refugee crisis. She is today in Lebanon working on the Syrian crisis. When she comes back, she's going to dive into one of the greatest American stories of the 20th century, and this one is in her own backyard. This is one of those only in Hollywood stories. Oh my God, I miss you. Oh, I miss you, honey. Legendary World War II hero Louis Zamperini and one of the most famous women in the world, Angelina Jolie, the hot new couple. What a gal. Oh my. What a man. He became famous almost 80 years ago, and then again when his phenomenal life story appeared in the big bestseller Unbroken. Now 97, a young Louis Zamperini first won prominence during Hitler's 1936 Berlin Olympics. I've been studying World War II for a long time, as you know. You're the only person I've ever met who met Hitler after you had that dramatic finish in the 1500 meters. What did he say to you? All I said was, the boy with the fast finish. That was him. And I couldn't really shake hands. He was up pretty high. So I just reached up and touched his hand. But that was just one fleeting moment in a legendary American life. Unbroken, the film, will come to the big screen later this year. And Angelina Jolie is the director. You train, you fight harder than those other guys, and you win. Just watching the two of you. I'll bet this is not just a filmmaker's journey for you. I mean, this becomes really personal. Because you've got the legacy of this amazing man in your hands and on the big screen.
Such a huge responsibility to get it right, because I love him so much, and because he's helped me so much in my life.
During World War II, Louis' bomber was shot down in the Pacific. 47 days in a bear raft. Subjected to barbaric war crimes in a Japanese POW camp. He was thought lost forever, declared dead. And now, decades later, he's here to see his life story brought to the screen by a Hollywood superstar. Did you find the book on your own, or did somebody send it to you?
I wanted to direct something again, but I just wasn't sure what, and I wanted it had to be something I would love and care about, because it takes much more time away from your family and much more effort than acting.
It might surprise you just how difficult it was, even for Angelina Jolie, to get a green light.
This has been the hardest thing I've ever done. I had all this, hours of phone calls and things, and then I made all these boards. I took my glue and tape and pictures off the internet and and I put all my boards in a garbage bag, and I carried them to Universal myself and put them out, and I pitched my butt off, but just for Wendy's wine.
I want to send a message here as well.
For me, I think Louis has been very clear about what his message is, and certainly the book. And I think for my children, and for everybody in the world, I want to be able to say, it can seem dark and it can seem hopeless and it can seem very overwhelming, but the resilience and the strength of the human spirit is an extraordinary thing.
When she finally got word she would direct the film Unbroken, she couldn't wait to meet Louis.
Where is he? Is he around? I think somebody said he knows where you live.
Indeed he did. As we said, only in Hollywood. From Louis's patio, you can literally see across to Angelina's home. They were neighbors and never had a clue. Louis, this was meant to be because your girlfriend lives in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I can show you my roof from the window. I imagine that for the last 10-something years he's been sitting there having a coffee in the morning and wondering who's going to make this movie.
Right.
And I've been sitting in my room laying there thinking, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? I want to do something important. I want to connect. I need some help. I need some guidance. Where is it? And it was right outside my window.
He's 97 years old. That's really remarkable. And when she gets back to Los Angeles, Angelina will resume work on Unbroken at Universal Studios, which of course are owned by our parent company, NBC Universal. And we will be following up with her in the coming months.
And there you have it. All right. Have a good day. Ciao.